Joining me tonight in studio in the first segment of the show, former MP, former Senator Roger Samuel, head of the Christian Restoration Center of Arima. We are going to be talking about the representation of the people in Trinidad and Tobago when we come back. After some very creative counting from Satish, we counted down from about 19, so I hope I'm in. But seriously, joining me in studio, and we've been trying to make this happen for quite some time, Roger and myself. We've been trying to get this show together. Schedules just conflicted, but tonight he is here, and when I say for some time, for some months well.
Some months well.
So he is here with us tonight, and Roger is very nice, very good to have you here.
It's so good to be here, Phillip, and I want to congratulate you on what you have been doing thus far. The fact that you are championing a cause, not just for a sector of the society, but on the whole. I mean, you challenge when things need to be challenged. You comment and compliment when things need to be complimented, and that's fantastic.
I think that people like us fill a need in society now, because in our Trinidad and Tobago, and you and I were talking off air about it, how little representation constituents get from their members of parliament after an election is had. The system doesn't allow for real representation. People, as a former member of parliament and senator, speak to that.
That's something I battled with for 5 years in what is called the House of Representatives. And I believe that if you are in the House of Representatives, your responsibility is to represent the ideals of your constituents. And if you are unable to do that in the House of Representatives, then it really does not fulfill its purpose. You are there representing a party in the parliament, as opposed to representing people in the parliament. And that is where the difficulty lies.
Is the election process responsible for that? Is it because I know that what was set up was, I need to go back and deconstruct. Each seat speaks for, it's literally a seat, and it speaks for 35,000 people.
Yes.
That chose you to go into the house and represent
them
and speak to their issues.
That's right.
We never hear that.
And the reason why, because the system is not set up for an MP to look at things that are brought to the parliament, bills and situations that will affect his constituents, and then have town meetings and sit with his constituents, his or her constituents, and sit and discuss those bills and issues, and then take their voices back to the parliament. No system is set up like that.
But that's what it should be.
That's what it should be.
So how do we get it back today?
Well, we were never there.
How do we get it there? No, but if it's set up to be that way, because I remember we had a conversation a couple of years ago when we tried to register a political party, and we found out that the Ministry of Legal Affairs has no designation called political party. So
Nothing.
You can't register a political
No.
party. And then we found out that the Constitution does not recognize political parties.
It does not.
The only place that the word political party is mentioned is in an asterisk insert as to how a government could fire a member. how a member of parliament could be removed,
It could
right?
be removed, yes.
So that if you run for elections on a party ticket and you
Across the floor.
back end
Yeah,
version
yeah.
of the
Across the floor
Act.
situation.
But other than that, the Constitution itself never recognized political parties. So how did we get to a place where instead of constituencies finding the best person to represent them, they just hitched a bandwagon to a political party?
And not only that, but the Constitution itself does not stipulate in any way the role and responsibilities of an MP. It does not.
No, it doesn't.
There are things in there about local government representative. There are clauses and regulations for them, but not for a member of parliament. As if the member of parliament has to go to the parliament, and that's it.
No, but there are massive gaps in all of our systems, in all of our laws, in how we run this country.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been ad hoc for a long time, and someone like you has to go through that system to realize this is not working the way we thought it worked.
That's right. That's right. I remember there was a bill brought apart to the House when we were in government, and I abstained from voting. And that was like a big shock to people. Two other persons, I think Dukaran and Carolyn, did not vote. They voted against, and I abstained. Man, I got blows for abstaining, man.
Because that is the purpose of the whip.
That's
to
right.
beat you.
To beat you.
To beat you into following party lines.
Yeah, you have to
I
toe party
remember
lines.
Vernon de Lima when he was about to challenge for leadership. In fact, this was even before that. And he said that his position was when you inside the cabinet, you're tied.
You're tied.
He used the term like a market
Absolutely
crab.
tied.
He said tie up like a market crab. And he was vying for the role of political leader of the Congress of the People
Outside
at the
the
time.
parliament.
And he wanted to be a political leader outside of
Parliament.
it so that
And
he could.
he could have developed the party
So the
there
party
and
could
then.
have
But you know something? It is my view that the cabinet should not be comprised of members of the House of Representatives. I believe that the cabinet should be the best qualified people for the task outside
But that
of
is the obvious
representation
position to take.
and put them in the Senate, so that if I'm in the House of Representatives, I should be able to question ministers as to what they do, because they're supposed to be held accountable.
We are in total agreement
Yeah.
on that. Let me tell you something. Timothy Anderson is one of the most knowledgeable persons when it comes to Westminster and our system and the way the things don't align. I was talking to him today about issues in preparation for this. And he was telling me, there's no presiding officer in the House of Lords. Our version of what we have as a Senate. In the House of Lords, there's no real presiding officer. And they carry on the business of approving bills and
That's
dealing
right.
without somebody whipping them.
And people are being whipped today. When you look at the Parliament, and I must say, Phillip, it has deteriorated tremendously from since I was there. I am ashamed to view the Parliament channel now, because what has been introduced is this puppet kind of affair where people cannot speak. And I'm not just talking about the leader of the House, or the Speaker of the House, or the President of the Senate. I'm talking about the kind of puppetry that has been introduced to the House of Representatives, where people jump up every minute and quote some standing order and tell the Speaker repetition and repetition and repetition and tedious repetition. Let me tell you something. Phillip, you and I can speak on the same topic, but the way you will speak about it may be absolutely different to the way I will present it. And the way it would come across, people would understand me different than they would understand you, even though we're speaking on the same topic. Why is it that if you're in the House, and because somebody else brought up a point, that you cannot speak on that point because they have no clue? I remember having clashes in the House and the Senate, where you get up to speak, and the moment you begin to speak, if you just mention something that somebody else said before, the president would jump up to us and say, Senator Samuel, somebody has spoken on that already. And I remember one day I said to her, but Madam President, I mean, the way I would say it is not the way they have said it. And she says, I have ruled. And it was like, you don't know what I am about to say about the same thing.
I don't know what was intended by the framers, but I know as a thinking person, our parliament does not serve this country. It seems like a continuous struggle, a squabble, a schoolyard fight. Yeah. It seems like big men and women looking to make points at the expense of each other and also ram their agenda home. Yeah. So one side has an agenda to get this bill through, and the other side has an agenda to, well, if it's a simple majority, to make the government look bad. If it requires a special majority, well, it's not going through. Because their job, as Pastor Pandit said, the opposition job was to oppose. And that means that the system is built to fail.
And it is built to fail. And who is to suffer? The citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
And then, when you realize that until you get a government into office with a special majority that represents the combined will of people that you are speaking about, the people who want a functional democracy where the rules make sense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, I found out today that even if the Senate president is not making sense, you cannot challenge.
You dare not challenge.
That there is a position now that you have to raise at another time.
Yes.
And I was saying, the constituencies of the ground looking on, that'll work for them.
No.
Now, take the matter that went on with Anil Roberts earlier. I don't know if you were following it.
I did.
He and the Senate President clashed, right? And he asked the question,
what's standing order?
What's standing order?
Yes.
That seems such a reasonable request to make. I mean, I don't tell people Anil Roberts and I'm not the best of friends.
Neither are we.
But I want to say that position, I had to fight for his rights. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't fight for his rights, because he and I don't get along, that makes me a hypocrite, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. Right. So I have to fight for his rights, because that position in the Senate, and I thought that the Senate president was not doing the Senate justice. It really took every rational thinking person, but there are people who, because they're in the Senate, cannot have an opinion.
Yeah.
So then what's the point?
No, I faced that same situation, and I'm a preacher. And standing up in the parliament to speak, I mean, we speak. And I remember on one occasion, she stopped me and says, Senator Samuel, tone down. And I said, Ma'am, I'm a preacher. She says, but I said, tone down.
Have you ever seen footage of Westminster in action?
Yeah, I was in Canada.
House of Commons in England is raucous and riotous. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, the home of the stiff upper lip. Mm-hmm. And the speaker sits there and they cross talk and
as long as things don't get out of hand.
Because you want lively debate.
Let me tell you something. I had a chance to have an exchange. The Parliament had an exchange with the Canadian Parliament, and I was one of the people that went to Canada. And I had a chance to work with a parliamentarian and visit the Canadian Parliament. And man, they jump up and jump. Even when their own Prime Minister of their party, man, they jump up and question them. Because they are responsible and accountable to their constituents.
And in countries where your name matters, in countries where you are in government or you are in parliament, but you are constantly in touch with your constituents, in countries like that, mm-hmm. where the constituents take their politics very seriously.
They do.
Where they would challenge, and one of the, and I say this all the time, one of the most important things that we lack is the ability to fire members of parliament. Mm-hmm. Because if we had a recall system, it would change the posture of both the voter and the elected member. Because the elected member would know that he answers ultimately to the people outside. Even the Speaker of the House would know that.
But you can't have recall if portfolios are not clearly defined. Because a lot of stuff that people come to members of parliament's offices for is really what local government should have.
Or social development.
Or social development if the ministries are functioning right. And because no role is really stipulated for the member of parliament. And the member of parliament ends up picking up the pieces for the councillors and everything else that they should not be doing.
So we reduce representation of the people to come in for help.
Come in for help.
Or pulling a string, depending on where you are in society.
I am glad.
If you're higher in society, you're a string to pull.
I am glad that you said that, because I am not too sure the average citizen wants change. Because there are people, I remember when I entered into the politics and there were people who were excited that somebody like me went into politics and we need those kind of honest people there. But the same people would come to you afterwards to ask you to pull a string for them to get a house and pull a string. And they don't want to hear anything like, there is a process. They believe that I voted for you. You're supposed to be able to give me that. I remember a guy said to me, you haven't given me anything personally, and I'm not voting for you again.
There's a statement, and I can't remember who said it, that when the people realized that they could vote themselves money directly from the treasury, it will herald the end of the republic. Now, it wasn't said about Trinidad, but it is exactly what is wrong with Trinidad.
Yeah.
Because now we find ourselves one of the wealthiest nations in the world formerly, because we were the third wealthiest in the Western world, and we could have been
at one time we had the 5th largest oil refinery in the world. When I was going to school, we used to boast about that. Texaco was the 5th largest oil refinery in the world then.
There were so many things we could have boasted about Trinidad and Tobago. What can we boast about today?
We should not be here today. I did some mathematics and I looked at budgets for the last 30 years, 35 years, and the money spent. And then I decided one day I'm going to drive around Trinidad and see if there is money's worth for the kind of money spent for the last 35 years. Wow.
Roger, you could actually be sitting here and speaking. I don't have to be here because the exact things you say are the things that I see. I was on an interview show with Carolyn and Mariana Brown, and I said that this country made and spent $1 trillion by budgets as of this budget. And we have he challenged me on that, and I gave him all the numbers that I added before I came here.
I've been doing that.
It's $1 trillion, it's a couple $1 billion short of $1 trillion, but the kind of money we're talking about for one.
We should be a paradise. We should have been a paradise. Let me tell you something. When we just had about 600,000 people, the kind of foreign reserves we had was a shit. My father used to say Eric Williams could have taken out $1 million and make every citizen $1 million. Give every citizen $1 million. Take 100 million, take 600 million, give every citizen $1 million, and still have money. That's to tell you how rich we were.
Norway's Heritage and Stabilization Fund, they got oil after us, and their Heritage and Stabilization Fund is the largest in the world.
Wow.
It generates billions of US dollars interest every year. It impacts every single stock.
What is Norway's natural resource?
But besides oil now?
Besides oil.
I guess.
Look what we have had, Phillip. Look what has disappeared, and look where
if this was a real country, the people would have riot over the pitch lake alone.
Yes.
Over the pitch lake alone.
Yes.
The pitch lake should mind this country. China is paving thousands of miles of road a day. Belton Road is being paved with Trinidad pitch.
And we are developing the best roads in the world with the largest potholes. That's history.
You can imagine, I ask people all the time, you can imagine if Bermuda or the Bahamas or the Virgin Islands boasted the only nylon pool in the world. That would be on the cover of every magazine. It would be a National Geographic series on the wonder. They'd call it the 8th wonder of the world. We're destroying it. We take glass bottom boats and drag anchors across Boko Reef.
That's right.
And destroy the reef that paid your paying you to bring tourists to see, so that you're killing it. The largest brain coral in the world, we're killing it. We had so much natural tourist destinations. People go to England. Notre Dame Cathedral had more tourists in a year than we've gotten since we're independent. People come to see things like that, and we have so much natural history. And I remember I was fortunate enough to have seen the ruins with the big water wheel in Tobago before it burned flat, it burnt and it destroyed everything. There's nothing.
Well,
there's nothing.
Fortunately for me, when I was in government, I was given the portfolio where the trust, National Trust, fell under my portfolio, and the whole idea of the heritage situation in Trinidad and Tobago. And we developed what was called a national heritage policy. I don't know what's become of it. Because we felt it was necessary to begin to protect Trinidad and Tobago. When you look at the museums around the world, Smithsonian's and museums in Netherlands and Spain, which means there are artifacts from Trinidad and Tobago in halls and rooms that are worth billions of dollars.
When was the last time you went to our Victoria Institute? When was the last time you went? And it's sad. There's a whole entire hall upstairs that they have nothing to put in it.
Yeah.
The upper floor.
That's right. That's right.
I know we almost lost the building when they were building Napa. A bunch of us had to go. We were going to chain ourselves to the building.
Right.
We were going to throw down the Victoria Institute to make a car park. Literally make a car park.
One of the biggest things that happened to me. While we were there, I said, you know something. Everywhere I went to Guyana. I went to Jamaica. The car that Burnham drove is there in the museum and stuff like that. History. And I said I'm going to go in search of the Austin Princess that Eric Williams was driven in. So nobody could find it. They said the last time it was down at Camp Ogden. I went down there. Camp Ogden said no, it left here, and they sent it to Presto Youth Camp. I went on to Presto Youth Camp, spoke to people. One guy said to me, we cut up that. It stayed around so long and it opened doing nothing, and it was cut up. And
you know what?
History. And it is the only country, Trinidad and Tobago, that does not teach its own history in our education system.
Fort George, people don't go to Fort George anymore because you get robbed.
You get robbed.
At Fort George. Lord Harris statue was stolen from Lord Harris Square.
Yeah. Have you been to Cuba?
No.
Wow.
But my grandfather is from.
My brother, he go to Cuba. Their forts are probably as large as Port of Spain. And every night, the military puts on an entire military exercise depicting some battle that Cuba had gone through, where they were under their successive people who had ruled the land. And tourists by the thousands.
But this is the question I
go
asked.
to Cuba.
We close our squares.
We close everything.
Woodford Square, that should be lit. And there should be people playing music on that bandstand every night. There should be poetry. There should be families. There should be Latin dancing and whatever. All of the cultures that we have should be able to go to City Hall across the road and pay $5 to use it. $5 as a cleanup fee to use it and to go on that bandstand. And your children who learn it to play violins and guitars and flutes and whatever. And people should be able to put their name down that tonight, Wednesday night, between 10 and 12, you are the bandstand.
But Phillip, there is nowhere, no place in Trinidad and Tobago where tourists can come outside of Carnival and see our culture. They cannot. There is no place to
some
go
would say
every night.
No,
Every night.
Some would
every
say
night.
our culture is rape, rob, and kill, and they can see that everywhere.
Every night, because there is no place. I mean, under the ministry that I was, we were looking to establish what was called a Carnival Museum. Because when tourists come to Trinidad and Tobago, where can they go to see the history of Carnival and walk through time from all of the costumes of the George Baileys and the Saldinas and all these people? Where can they see it? Where can they experience it? Where can they go outside of Carnival and see anything that is pertaining to the culture of Trinidad and Tobago? How come we have not taken culture to a larger, a greater level and begin to look at communities and begin to group communities, because there are communities that are sectorized, that have similar cultures, and find those things that are indigenous to those communities and develop it and begin to market it, so that when people in England and Australia who have roots in Trinidad and they want to come here, they can find something to come and go and identify with. How do we market Trinidad and Tobago? What is the Ministry of Tourism about? How do they market Trinidad and Tobago?
You know,
as what kind of destiny?
You were going to take the conversation here, and I brought Jeffrey McLean from Citizens of Conservation, because he...
Well, I know Jeffrey McLean.
I know you would, because as Minister...
We spoke those kind of things.
He laments the destruction of the heritage and the culture, and he speaks the Banwari community.
Yes.
Any other place in the world. But we have to stick a pin, because you have another guest to join us. So when we come back from this break now, we will continue that conversation.
Sure.
Darren's Air Conditioning Services. Professional services at affordable prices. They have air-conditioned units starting at $2,100 with installation. We supply Lennox, Pioneer, Infinity, and Comfy units, all at unbeatable prices. Servicing of a 12,000 BTU at only $150. Don't forget to check them out on Facebook and Instagram. So contact Darren's Air Conditioning Services at 749-8245.
Unique Woodworking Trinidad Limited and Unique Lumber Guyana Incorporated are premium manufacturers and exporters for high-quality wood and steel doors, bifolding sliding and pocket door systems, operable louver shutters, hardwood floors, staircases, and decks. We specialize in bank counters, office furniture, cabinetry with granite countertops, and over 500 architectural molding designs. We provide complete outfitting for hotels, resorts, hospitals, banks, tertiary institutions, condominiums, and residential projects. We also supply kiln-dried greenheart, mahogany, cedar, and teak lumber locally and regionally. Our logs are cut and shipped by Unique Lumber Guyana and properly dried in our computerized kiln at our factories facilities in Trinidad. For over 32 years, our products have been standing strong, and we are committed to providing after-sales support. Visit our showroom or check out our website at www.uniquedoors-tt.com. It's the quality that makes us unique.
It's more than a crush, 'cause I'm frozen in motion and my head tells me to stop, but my heart goes cause my heart goes but my heart goes cause my heart goes cause my heart goes. But I'm frozen in motion and my head tells me to stop, but my heart goes.
The national petition will be heading to Chaguanas this Friday, 12th March at Baraka Grounds from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Come sign the national petition and let's make our country safe for our women. Bring the entire family and be part of the change that we're fighting for. Remember, this Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Baraka Grounds in Chaguanas. Social distance protocols will be in full effect, so remember to wear your mask and see you there.
So this is someone that I am proud to introduce. He is former national football captain. He is twice National Player of the Year, 3 times Caribbean Player of the Year. He's played in Zurich, Belgium, Greece, Sweden, Lebanon, to name a few. A lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago got to understand his other intellectual side on my show for the first time. And again, I'm proud to introduce David Naked, Senator David Naked, my brother.
My brother, thanks for the invitation. Nice to meet your guest as well, long time. Always a pleasure.
We had a vibrant little conversation at the start about the failure of the system. And because we have just under half hour left, because we have another segment tonight, and I'm sorry about that, because it's already a busy show, you know, playing talk.
Yeah, I know.
There were some good numbers with that show that you were on, because people were waiting to hear you announce that you were going to be getting political. That was the time when nobody knew where you were going. But the system, brother, the system, it's not letting you work, it's not letting the people's voice not being heard.
Well, you know, I wouldn't say it doesn't let my work come through. I mean, you have to understand, in a political system, there's always going to be a certain confinement, a certain restriction, certain barriers, and you have to work with that. It's not going to be like give you the freedom or the license that you would have in your present situation. You basically could attack every subject and every issue, and that's politics. So that's the nature of politics, and you have to have a lot of patience, because you're going to be in a group and an organization, and you know an organization is what it is. A lot of different characters, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different thoughts.
Okay, but that's the politics of the political party.
Right.
But what I'm talking to you about is, you're in the Senate, and you have a strong voice, naturally. I mean, the things you stand for. Do you believe that the way our system set up, our parliament, upper house, lower house, what you've been looking, what you've been seeing, do you believe that you get adequate opportunity to express your views on the issue of the day?
Yes, I would say we get, especially the party that I'm in, especially, and to be quite fair to her, our political leader, we have full reign to show who we are and to go after the points that we believe in. There's not one time, Phillip, and everybody knows I tell the truth. I don't put water in my mouth. Not one time I've been reined in or told to take it down or so by our party, by our political leader. Not one time.
What about presiding officers?
Well, yes, that's the problem. And
that's the point I'm trying to raise, because that's the point that I want to speak about. Because when Roger got into the house, and he was saying this earlier, he went in there with bright eyes, an idealist, that he would have the opportunity to champion causes. Then he found out that you're actually there as a cheerleader for whatever the group cause is. And if you're on the wrong side of the house in this adversarial system where a member is appointed presiding officer from the victorious ranks, I mean, to put a football analogy, if you play for Man U and you're facing Chelsea and the referee is a Chelsea player, would you feel like his adjudicating of the game would be fair?
Of course it wouldn't, and it isn't. And that's the reality of our political system. What we have to do, and what we have been doing, is to use language. And we have at times to be brave, we have at times to be almost adversarial, which I have been, which Arnold has been. And it has exposed people. It has exposed people. And I think the public needed to wake up to what you have pointed out since before, that it's somehow a system that's not balanced. But it's what we have in front of us, brother. And having said that, we need to work with it and try to progress our agenda. And we have to try and be, to your point, we have to try and make sure that our policies, those of us who would like things to progress, and I think you know what I mean, we have to try and bring people in line with our policies. And that can also be difficult within an organization, but that's what we have to do. And that's our fight. And so when you said Roger came in bright-eyed and so, I would like to say to people who come in bright-eyed, stay bright-eyed, stay idealistic, stay with the fight. Do not become bogged down and fed up and worn and tired.
But you wouldn't get jaded to hear the types of conflicts taking place. I mean, you were speaking earlier about the Arnold Roberts issue with the failure to get an answer to a simple question. And we were talking about, we got our Westminster system from England, and their parliament is raucous, it's riotous. The home of the stiff upper lip, they get to cross-talk and they get to, I mean, it's loud. Canada, he mentioned Canada, he said he was there on a parliamentary exchange. If others could be so mature that they could allow people the freedom to express themselves, why does our House and our Senate sound and come across so much like a childhood classroom?
Because I think what we have done is we have confused decorum with being absolutely meek and mild. Yeah. And I think we need to know, and I pointed this out before to the presiding officer. I said, although we would like a certain decorum, and because there was a long speech made about how we should behave and so.
Because this is the upper house.
Oh yes, this is the upper house. And before my presentation, I said that I'm aware of all of this, but I hope that our debate remains rigorous and vigorous.
Because it's a debate.
Because we have a
because it's a debate.
It's a debate, exactly.
And I was mentioning to him that I heard today that the House of Lords, which we copy the Senate from, doesn't even have a presiding officer.
Right? Okay.
And when you learn that, then it tells you that something is missing in the way we have our system set up. If we can't have a debate as men and women and come to the best conclusion for the country.
Well, as Naipaul said, we are mimic men, you know, and we take it to the extreme. That we become more English than English. I remember listening to debates because I'm a political guy since way back, and I would hear
Massa slave more massa than massa.
Exactly. And you know, Philip, brother, you say all these kind of English accents in the parliament, you know, yes, from people pretending to have these English accents, and it was ridiculous.
African states were the last to take off the white wig.
The white wig, yeah.
Well,
the white wig was a badge of honor.
Yeah.
But brother, you know, colonialism is not only the physical, of course it broke minds, and it still has produced a lot of broken minds.
We're still trying to earn the overlord's approval. We want to say, well done, you could come into my house now. And that is silly, because at the end of the day, we've been in control of this country now for 58 years. And at some point, our entire system should have created men and women of such strong backbone to challenge the nonsense of the pretense and to get down to the business of actually operating the country in the best interest of the people.
Well, we have created men and women of that caliber, of that ilk. You know, I mean, that, you could point to you. You could point to other people who have worked tirelessly for years. I could point to Wayne Sturge, for example. We've created quite a few people of that, but people tend to get beaten down and jaded for whatever reasons, because our culture is that. Our culture is that. Our culture is never about the issue at hand. It's always about everything else but the issue.
That's right. We get sidetracked easily, and distracted very, very easily. And that is part of the politics. It's a system of distraction.
It is.
To take people away from the real issues that are taking place. The parliament is a place of debate. The parliament is not a place of delivering speeches. And the parliament has deteriorated into a place of speech reading.
Roger, the entire country.
I think political parties need to redevelop the debating skills of its parliamentarians so that a person can stand up and debate and not
read from a
stand
prepared
up
script.
and read
Absolutely.
a prepared script.
And we need to lose the way.
But according to the parliamentary standards and the standing orders, you're really not supposed to read.
You're not supposed to read.
The Speaker of the House or the President can tell you,
You're reading.
you're reading. You understand where I'm coming from? I mean, worst thing now under COVID, you know, they put them in this little cage and people have the speech, that they read all the speech because they're far from everybody. It's a real charade.
No, but Roger, we need to
People are not debating. People are debating.
We have to get rid of it.
They are not challenging
real
the people
leader,
on the other side.
A real leader would surround themselves with soldiers that they know could take the fight to the other side and to deliver what is in the best interest of the country. If that is not the final arbiter, if that's not the final measure, what's the point of it? I was going to tell you just now, the entire country has poured itself out into the streets during a pandemic for the past 25 days now, and not one government, not one interruption of the day-to-day business to say, listen, this is urgent, we need to deal with this. What do the people have to do? What do the people of the country have to do to get the government or to get the parliament to pay attention to their voice?
And as a matter of fact, and let's be more brutally honest, they have not only done nothing, they've decided to piggyback it in a way that's perverse. They've taken a movement that's organic, and people are moving, and they've decided to push through legislation that has absolutely nothing to do with what you guys do.
Absolutely
Nothing to do. It's
How could you reduce what's going on in the country to a reason to assign no bail? Now, and I want to tell you this, your position on it should not be an emotional position. Your position on something like denying somebody civil liberties should be based on rational thought. And if our reasons for denying people bail is that we cannot manage our criminal justice system, then I think that's the real issue. And that's the crisis. And that's why one of the 5 items on our list of demands is a commission of inquiry into the criminal justice system, from stem to stern, from arrest to trial. We need to know from the penal system, everything go right back. We need to know that the people under the systems and the rules all make sense and they work together. We have no conversation on why we're creating these monsters. And we are reacting after the fact.
And we bring legislation to Parliament. I remember being in the Senate and the same traffic amendment bills they have now, and all the point systems and stuff like that. And I remember saying to the Attorney General, who didn't want to hear anything, as far as he was concerned, he's absolutely right. He's the chief of all knowledge when it comes to law. and that is it. And I said to him, but in other countries, they give you a ticket that you must pay within a certain time. Or no, they give you a warning in a ticket form that if you don't fix the issue on the vehicle, like for instance a broken taillight, a blown bulb, it becomes a ticket after a certain time. And he says, no, we're not doing that here. And I said to him, I said, well, can you tell me the shelf life of a bulb from the manufacturers? How long should a bulb last on a vehicle?
But it's ridiculous if that is
because you could check your vehicle now and drive down the road and the bulb is blown. They don't want to hear. So they bring legislation, and because they have a majority in the parliament and a majority in the Senate, and I dare say independents are not independent. And that has been, I say that having my own experience.
But you see, because we have 9 minutes left, we can't get into the way I would like to get it, and I want to invite both of you all back and others to have this conversation, because it's not enough to say this is how it is. We have to say it could be better and look at ways it could be better. I think that Trinidad and Tobago right now needs people in leadership to step up and say, okay, this is not working. And then we have to, David, all of the debates that we're debating now are not as important as the fact that the entire country, nothing is working.
And that's a fact. And I think...
So why isn't that the issue that we debate?
Well, you mentioned it before. It comes back to leadership. We are very much in a system that requires sound leadership. And that's what we do not have at present. I mean, I didn't want to get too partisan, but we have to make the point that this is probably the worst leadership we've seen in Trinidad and Tobago since we have independence. I make no bones about that. And therefore, we are not going to see somebody who takes up the mantle and says, you know what, we need to address this. Because they are too busy. All of those who we know really run this government, they're too busy feathering their own nest. They have no interest in the people. And they've shown that over and over and over. So therefore, it's left to these organizations, like what you all have, and to the opposition, of course, to do what we need to do. And you know, I think it's become very clear, especially lately, that we need to be more aggressive, which we have been. I think the people who can really take the fight to this government, we have been taking that fight to this government. And I point again to this anti-gang legislation that has been brought at this. I mean, this should be bringing legislation that you guys recommended from the movement. Since the death of Andrea Barrett with pepper spray and all that, I mean, they could be bringing so much more pertinent legislation right now, but what they have tried to do is bring a completely incongruous legislation and ambiguous and vague, hoping to ride on...
Big stick.
That deals only, according to Winston, that just deals with the penal part of things.
But absolutely.
That is governed by a judicial system
that's failed.
I want to ask both of you the same question. Are you worried about Trinidad and Tobago?
Absolutely.
Are you worried where we go?
I think anybody with a modicum of respect for himself would say yes, he's very much worried about Trinidad and Tobago.
And worried from the standpoint, not only from the social aspect of life.
The economy failing.
The economy has collapsed.
But not now. Even before COVID-19.
Before COVID, it has nothing to do.
The greatest blessing this government got was COVID-19.
It has nothing to do with COVID.
No, but if we are not having the conversation about why we should be worried, who is leading the people? And I say that again, when you pick up a newspaper and you see the stories yesterday, the stories today, the country is in chaos. It is and fear of the police and the army holding back people, I am sure, because there are people outside there who are they don't know where to turn, what to do, where to go. The system don't work. They find themselves confronting basic issues of hunger, have no job, can't make your bills. The bank charges taking the little bit of money that you have. Right. If you don't have your money, the bank will thief any money.
Something that we need to deal with in the future, very much so. The banking system and what they do to people. But all of that, Philip, it goes back to that we know that this government has used COVID, we said that before, as a buffer between the people and what the people should be doing, which is really wide-scale protests. I mean, in no other country, given these circumstances, economic, that there would not be wide-scale protests. So they're dragging it on. I mean, it's no coincidence to me that Trinidad and Tobago, last place in terms of vaccination.
That's right.
There's not a coincidence.
Last?
What?
After everybody?
Last place. I mean, last place.
All 183 countries.
Last place. Last place. And that's no coincidence. That's something, a determined decision to keep people afraid, to keep people inside, trapped. Worried, trapped, not to come out in the street because
COVID-19 is the best thing that happened in this government.
That's right.
It gave them that election. I think COVID-19 was a ruse. COVID-19 as a pandemic, yes, but they used it to hide their own incompetence and failure. And we had to talk about that.
And they used it to hug the media.
We had to talk about that another time because we're running out of time and I have to ask, will you hear first, Roger? Give me your closing comments. And in your closing comments, I want you to promise that we're going to assemble this because people are going to be messaging me to say, I want to hear more of that. So I want you to promise this.
Certainly I will be back as long as I'm invited.
The invitation is extended.
But I just want to say to Trinidad and Tobago, don't let what is happening dash your hopes to the ground. This nation needs hope. And we need to stipulate and speak for messages of hope for society so that people can have something to hold on to. You know, there's an old saying that hope is a joyful, anticipated expectation. And we need to now put that before people that something great and wonderful is. You could say amen. You could say amen.
Bring out the amen in there. Bring out the amen in there. Roger, David.
Well, I'll be a bit more revolutionary.
Robust.
Yes, in that I think all these, by Roger, all these wishes of hope and so it's good, it's excellent. I think it's very important, the tone and content of literature now that we put out. But we need to hit the ground.
Also stand up here.
We need to hit the ground in a meaningful fashion. And I think that all people need to come together. I think that people standing with your organization.
David, we got what I think will be more than 100,000 signatures in the first week.
Well, that's an indication that people are this and that. That's excellent.
Look at Tobago. I would not have expected Tobago, and if you follow the other segment, because the people who went to Tobago with the petition today, they're back here tonight, they're going to give us an update. But I understand that there were lines in a mall in Scarborough to sign.
Well, why does that surprise you? I don't know why people seem surprised by what Tobagonians do. You know, I know Tobago, I mean...
No, what I said, it just seems like something that would have been a Trinidad problem. We're not there anymore. I think all of the people are finally starting to realize that we have to work together.
Tobagonians have shown that they are not fools at all. They know what's going on. That's why PNM took a whipping in there with the 6-6. So I would just like people to come together against this, for me, a truly incompetent government, and placing us all in danger, especially with this COVID vaccine rollout, and that we keep up the pressure. We keep up the pressure. It can't be enough just to press likes and shares and comment on my page, on your page, and that's not enough anymore. We need people coming together and out there like you, bringing them out, and they're coming out with the opposition, and we need to be one hand. We're going to have differences. There are going to be incidents, but we have to have one common goal, which is the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago.
I want you to promise that you'll join us.
You don't have to ask me that, brother.
Well, yeah. So this has been that first segment of the show tonight. I want it to be longer. I wish we could. Every time we start a conversation like this, I wish the show didn't have to end. I want to say thanks very, very much to Roger and to David for joining us. And I promise you we will be doing this again. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have the ladies of the Candlelight Movement.
Unique Woodworking Trinidad Limited and Unique Lumber Guyana Incorporated are premium manufacturers and exporters for high-quality wood and steel doors, bifolding sliding and pocket door systems, operable louver shutters, hardwood floors, staircases, and decks. We specialize in bank counters, office furniture, cabinetry with granite countertops, and over 500 architectural molding designs. We provide complete outfitting for hotels, resorts, hospitals, banks, tertiary institutions, condominiums, and residential projects. We also supply kiln-dried greenheart, mahogany, cedar, and teak lumber locally and regionally. Our logs are cut and shipped by Unique Lumber Guyana and properly dried in our computerized kiln at our factory's facilities in Trinidad. For over 32 years, our products have been standing strong, and we are committed to providing after-sales support. Visit our showroom or check out our website at www.uniquedoors-tt.com. It's the quality that makes us unique.
Cause I'm frozen in motion and my head tells me to stop, but my heart goes cause my heart goes but my heart goes cause my heart goes. In motion and my head tells me to stop, but my heart goes.
Darren's Air Conditioning Services. Professional services at affordable prices. They have air-conditioned units starting at $2,100 with installation. We supply Lennox, Pioneer, Infinity, and Comfy units, all at unbeatable prices. Servicing of a 12,000 BTU at only $150. Don't forget to check them out on Facebook and Instagram. So contact Darren's Air Conditioning Services at 749-8245.
The national petition will be heading to Chaguanas this Friday, 12th March at Baraka Grounds from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Come sign the national petition and let's make our country safe for our women. Bring the entire family and be part of the change that we're fighting for. Remember, this Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Baraka Grounds in Chaguanas. Social distance protocols will be in full effect, so remember to wear your mask and see you there.
And we're back, and as promised, what I said, the ladies of the candlelight movement, I forgot that we had one gentleman here, so I'm going to apologize to him before I even bring him on camera. But I am joined in studio tonight by Avanel Hector and Candice Barrett, fresh off the plane from Tobago. They spent the last 24 hours setting up our affiliate in the Sister Isle. I also have Felicia Holder and Paul Daniel Nahus, who has been spearheading with military precision the distribution of these petition sheets and petition packages that have created a frenzy in the country. So I'm going to let Avanel and Candice bring us up to speed with Tobago. Paul will tell us a little bit about where we are with packages and the collections of sign sheets, and then Felicia will tell us what's happening Friday. So take it away.
So today we had a sort of a soft launch in our sister isle Tobago, because obviously Tobago is part of this process, and we were so happy to be able to go across. We were there with our affiliate in Tobago, Dr. Kamini Soman, and she has a foundation called People Against Domestic Abuse. And she's heavily involved in that sort of, women's affairs and women's rights, and she's actually quite a champion in her own right. So she was very hospitable and really helped a lot to make today happen. And we were at the Scarborough Port Mall, where we had our sort of a launch. No mics, just persons coming in and out who are very much interested. People took time off of work. Our first signature there was actually the family of one of the victims. I'm not sure if you would recall 10 years ago, Kellyanne Siratan. She went missing at the family home on the 3rd of November 2011 and she has not been found since. She has disappeared. And her mother and her father, Susan and Joseph, they came today because they felt so strongly about what we were doing, and they have no closure from what has happened to their daughter, and they really just want to do as much as they can do to assist. And we had so many victims' families. I know Avanel will tell us a lot more about that, but the response from Tobago was really phenomenal. We had so much positive conversations with people, so much excitement, so much gratitude for us just being there and making them part of the process. And we really hope to try to go again at some point during this entire thing, so that they would feel a presence and they would continue to be motivated. But it really was a great experience today.
Before you hand it over to Alan, I just want to ask.
Sure.
So you set up an affiliate today, and they'll be responsible for moving packages throughout.
Yes, that is.
So they'll be setting up all the other petition package outlets. People go to them to get that stuff.
Yeah, Dr. Kamini Soman. I could actually give you her number, or we can make it available.
Do both. If you give it to us, if you say it now, but I know that Satish will get it to the ticker table at some point.
Okay. So she has the petitions, and if anyone is interested in signing in Tobago, they can contact her. We also give out some more petition packages, and we will give Satish the list so that would be updated. But Dr. Soman's telephone number, she's 785-2123, and she can be contacted at any point, and anyone who's interested in signing can go to her. She can also make petition packages available, so if anyone wants to be a sort of an agent and
get signatures
for us, they can also contact her.
Avanel.
Well, just a little clarity. The first person we met when we landed, just a little clarity.
Right.
There might be somebody who's A-type 7, you all said. So the first person we met when we landed was the dude from Loveless. His name is Daniel.
What you know.
What you know, right? So he was the first person we met last night. But today, they were actually waiting for us at the Port Mall. Is Mary and Joseph Lanchan. They worked really hard. Susan. Mary Lochan was my teacher. Lanchan. They went all over the place. And today for me, connecting with the families, that's a big thing for me, because we want to keep the humanity into what we're doing. That, it's not just...
The biggest thing about everybody in this organization have the biggest thing that they're doing. But I want to tell you all, the biggest thing that you and Candice are doing is humanizing the survivors of these victims. You're bringing them back into the light, and you're giving us a chance to commiserate with them as well. I mean, it's an amazing job that you're doing, and I don't know, I can't speak for them, and I don't know if it's bringing any healing to them, but I think that a lot of them had to look and see the outpouring of love and support for Andrea, and had to wonder, what about our daughter? And I think that what you all are doing by bringing all of these people back into the circle is amazing, amazing work.
And I feel particularly burdened about that because a lot of people didn't have a chance to tell their story. Social media wasn't as it is now. A lot of people. So, for example, today, there's one person that Candice dealt with, which I did not deal with, but 3 of the persons that we deal with, in addition to we had Onika Maz of the Woman of Substance. They do a lot of work with, domestic violence and rescuing women from situation, and they just launched a purple bench campaign. So she came by to sign. But in addition to that particular person, Kelly Ann Siratan, who was missing, there was a situation, I think it was last year, with a teacher who got killed in Port of Spain.
Giselle
Phillips.
Cornelia Phillips.
Right.
Yeah.
Her daughter was there.
Her sister.
Her daughter.
Okay.
I bet you on that one. It was her daughter.
I'm
positive about that.
I swear I don't know how you're keeping track.
No, because listen to me,
so many
Philip,
people.
when you spend time with these
is it
people,
not breaking your spirit.
No,
listen.
Okay, like I think I was saying to Candice today, it's not the fact that we didn't sleep last night. It's not the fact that it was a long day, but being with them today and that lady sharing, she shared with us the lady who got killed in Port of Spain. When she first got the news. She said, no, it can't be truth. And she denied it for a while, and how this woman was everything to her because she would have taken her from the orphanage. Was more as the only mother she's really connected with, and the lost and the sense of, she just looked lost. And then we had this lady who was with us for the whole day, Latoya. I think she's on right now. So I saw Latoya for the whole, I really was wondering, where she came from. I thought she was with PADA, the organization that had us there. And then some point in time, she was speaking to someone of the other victim's family, and she was speaking, how we have to be. So I said, you lost somebody? And she had built, in that moment today, she built a camaraderie with the mother of Kellyanne Siratan. So when I said, what's happening? So then Kellyanne's mother says, oh, you didn't know? I said, no, what? She lost a child to her son, was the 16-year-old footballer. He was playing for the under 15 national team. That's where I get the 15 from. And on his birthday,
you only get both of you only free. I cannot pin down the details.
Yes, sorry. On his 16th birthday, this little boy.
No, but I know the audience looking on.
Yes, but
they will correct us in the news.
Yes.
So you have a right to be.
Yes, they are those kind of people. So on his 16th birthday, this is a child who came out of what, I don't like to use the word, but for one of a better word, the ghetto. He defied the odds. He got a scholarship that could have taken him anywhere in the world. On his 16th birthday, his mom called him. They chatted, and she affirmed him, told him how much she loved him, whatever. Within 30 minutes, she got a call that her son was dead. She shared with us how she ended up in the mental asylum. And the only thing that shook her is one day when her husband and the children came to see her, she saw them crying. So we want people to understand why we're doing this. It's not just how much of 1,000 people missing, but the families that they left behind. And again, I keep coming back to this. They need a voice. They need a voice. They need to know that their loved ones have not been lost. So for Latoya, 3 years now since the case, the person is in jail. She hasn't heard anything. She had to give up her business because she had she'd be coming back and forth. She went to Tobago, then she had to come back and forth. One day the police would call her, she's a caterer. She can't do any catering because she might have a job. And then the police would say, come now, we have something. So her whole life has been, in turmoil. The Siratans, the other girl. We could go on and on.
No, but I want you to let them know. Like tomorrow night in Baraka grounds, if none of us speak a word, but survivors or victims
yes,
do
we need
all
that.
the talking for us.
We have some of that.
And I swear, let that be the message, because Trinidadians need to know that this is a continuous chain of pain that runs through this country that people are not facing. There are too many. When 500 people die in a year, that is too many broken hearts. And we're not having those conversations. We're ridiculing, naming, shaming, we're memeing and joking.
Like the 2 boys who got killed this week. One of them, his mom works hard and she chooses to buy gold for her children. I'm not going to buy gold for my children probably because I can't afford it, but I'm not going to just see a little boy with gold on his neck and then brandish him. And brand him and decide who he is when he was done all those things.
We become such a disgusting people that in the face of so much misery, you know what I hate? I hate, and I've lost friends over the years people who would come and talk this nonsense, but he was a good boy. He was a good boy, kind of sarcastically. I remember, and I don't know, I can't tell you the person's name, and I think it was on Nelson Street in Port of Spain, and this young teenage boy, he was dead and he was bleeding in the streets, and his mother was standing over him, and the agony on that woman's face. And I'm reading comments in the thread because he's a young black ghetto youth, and I'm wondering, at what point did we lose humanity?
No. You are already branded. So if you are from a certain place, a certain complexion, I mean, you couldn't be you've got to be a bandit. Like, what else would we be in the communities like Canada, Jamaica, Andigo? You had to be a bandit. And that is just your natural, people will start to post on there, take, oh, monsters, you live by the gun, you die the gun. No kind of, like for this, I remember particularly that little boy, a bright boy, and they say things.
They don't get that. They don't get, please accept my condolences. And
they're not allowed to grieve.
And I hate that. I hate that about my country. I hate that we become such, we ask how we,
inhumane?
They say how we created monsters, why we created monsters. That's why we created monsters. That's the monster process.
Yes, we have to. I mean, I know that we, saying that we need to get back to love each other might sound kind of cliche, but that is where it's going to start.
This is the only way forward.
Yes, we have to begin to love people, have to begin to grieve as a society.
And this took love to Tobago today from Trinidad. That's what, every time somebody comes to sign that sheet, that signature is to send a little bit of love to those left to mourn. That's what they're doing by my effort, by my signature. People in a frenzy, and I guess I can hand this over to Paul now. People in a frenzy to sign this sheet.
And let me just say one thing. We were being sarcastic. I was being sarcastic when I said, if we're from the ghetto, what else could we be?
Of course they know you're being sarcastic.
No, I know some people, right?
No, but of course they knew you were being sarcastic, and that was the point we were raising at the time. That it is unfair, that it is so easy to brand people.
And then then you have to then try to prove that they were not, and bring evidence to prove that they are not who you assume they were.
And then the real criminals in society, if you call the name and what they're doing, they send in your reaction protocol letters. Paul, tell me about this.
Package distribution. Well, okay, first of all, ladies, great work in Tobago, amazing work there. I really want to credit all the women on the team. Also, you all, it's about 2 hours you're back from Tobago or less. I want my package information by tomorrow so I could record it, right? So just actually, I need my package information because we're going through.
Are you on top of it?
We are on top of it. We have handled.
There's people correcting me, they said this phone number might be wrong or that. And I want to tell them, if you know the effort these people have made.
Well, we well over 1,000, Packages, individual packages between business and person. Tomorrow morning alone, 300 are going out for delivery. We've actually gotten some places now after running to deliver all over the country. We have actually
far-flung,
and far,
we in Cedros, we in Tamara,
Toko, everywhere.
Williamsville sent me,
everywhere we have. So what we did
and people taking the little screenshots and telling me, make sure that people know that we have it now.
Well, we'll update the list again tomorrow of where you can go, but also too.
Your drivers have been working.
Well, from tomorrow they have been, and from tomorrow as well, we've gotten certain businesses to say.
And just take a bit, sorry. And on behalf of all of us, I'd like to offer condolences to Terence Boudra. Boudra is his last name. He is one of the drivers who were distributing the packages, and his brother got into an accident and died last night. And Terence, while with tears in his eyes, finished.
I didn't know anything was wrong because he finished his route and he delivered. That's the first time hearing of it, so I'm very, very saddened to hear that. But tomorrow what we are doing as well, we have 300 more packages to go out, and we've actually now, after running all over the place, we actually have a few business places said, for example, in South and different areas, that they would act like a depot for us. So we'll distribute to them with a list, and people will come to them to pick up what they would. Yeah. So but we've gotten. It's well over 1,000 packages. I think nearly 2,000 mark of packages that have gone out.
When people panicking now when they calling me and they saying, I have 10,000 signatures, where to take it? So you're setting up hubs.
We have, first of all, we have the online system as well. We'll keep posting the link of it. If you would like a package to be delivered to you.
No, the people who have sign sheets.
Okay, sign sheets. So I'll go on to that right after. So I'd just like to say that people can, well, they know the numbers to call or to message, but there's also an online link. When you go there, you put your name, you put your address, you put your phone number. If you have a business, you put it. Whether individual or business, where they have 10 signatures, 10,000 signatures, sign up. It goes into a system, we log everything, it comes out, you get packages, we label the packages. The packages are literally going out by the hundreds. In
so
batches
once you request a package, you get it.
You're on a list, give it a couple of days, because it's not even backlog, I would say. Because tomorrow, the 300 we have backlog. Tomorrow morning, they're going to go out and clear up. We have a master list of everything. We'll keep updating stuff.
So then you're in real time?
We're in real time, yeah.
Is it better if people come here?
It is, so what we have in the front here, which is, you can come here. We have a notepad where somebody will attend to you. You put on your name, all the details, and then you get a package, and then you get manually entered into the master list, and that will be generated to show where people can go to pick up, along with your phone number and the business address or address of the person, if they wish to put, so somebody can get them for a package.
And about the returning the sheets Friday night, we take sheets
tomorrow we have an area designated right next to where we're handing out, where you can come. If you have, some people have messaged me, they come in to hand in, and they want more, or they're bringing people that want, and so I said no problem, come. We're going to have people to secure the petitions coming in right there. You can bring it in the office here as well. We secure that. We're taking it right now.
So when we take back sheets, we're recording who is from.
So what we do is we're taking back.
Cross-reference.
Of course, we're cross-referencing it, as well as we're doing by.
I'm saying this because I know you have military precision, but I want the public to know.
Okay, yeah,
because people they asked me yesterday, how do I get a package? And I send them the form, and then they message back and say, okay, I filled it out. Then they said, I filled out the form yesterday, where's my package?
Hang on,
and I want to tell them, it's not like Star Trek Enterprise where Scotty
beams up. No, everything it's tedious, but we get it done.
You have to
but I was saying an hour ago before this interview, outside with Joseph going packages. That's the work we're doing. We're doing the hard work.
But then when they actually get the package and then they realize, okay, this took some effort, they're taking a picture and they're really happy that they have
we want to make.
So you're on top of it.
Yeah, the important thing is this as well. We are very particular whether it's a big business or it is one person walking the street. Everyone's signature is important, because everyone, it's not when people come with packages or thanks for saying no, there's no you and me, this is us, this is we. Right?
There's so many nice stories. Lorraine Puchette, she was the former head of NCC. She messaged me, where can I sign this petition? And then she messaged back 5 minutes ago, don't worry, my son outside there walking door to door with the petition. So I'll sign that.
People have messaged me afterwards, hey, take me off the list, or hey, my neighbor just come and start making photocards. Hey, well, send me a name, let's get some information of people. So it's a real-time process being managed. We have a good team with me doing it. An excellent team here. Joseph and Satish have been amazing helps in this, because I would have been going mad with organizing this stuff.
I think all of us have to write a thank you letter to Satish's wife, because I think she's the only person not seeing him.
Maybe a box of chocolates or something. Maybe more than that, because he's
she's the only person not seeing him. Or maybe if she move in and live in it.
Well, yeah, you have an office, something like a room in the back or something. So we are on top of everything. We are making sure we have a login process as well now for this. On Saturday, we'll have at the end of Saturday, we will have our first initial count of the last week and change, of how many we have, how many votes we'll be scanning.
Close to 100,000 Friday.
We'll find out. But I can tell you in the back we have over 10,000 the first weekend. Over 10,000 the first weekend. That is before distribution. That's on the night distribution.
All the people that message have 1,000 here, have 2,000.
I am not worried about the numbers, because people understand that all of us in together. People are falling over themselves trying to get packages. People, I've never seen this kind of rush for anything. I mean, I made a joke. I said, when I was handing out packages on the desk on the Friday outside Wolf Square, sorry. It was like, I said, but I never work in a bar at Marshall Monday, but I could imagine this is something like how it feels.
I saw when you said, and everybody heard you say, that I need your ID, and people were just throwing it.
I got at least 50 people at the same time just raised up their ID cards.
Going through ID cards, which is you?
And I was called, it was like a fish market. I was selling cloth. I said, hey, who's this? Who's that? And hand back out. It was crazy. It was but we had in the perceived chaos, the reason we did all that and we were getting on like that, as in throw ID card and this and shouting and here, yeah, phone number and shouting to Felicia and here, 7, whatever, because at the end of that, we had a list of the needs and the contents of everyone who got a package. And from people who, and I mean, I was a little biased in this, but people who, I say, okay, call the areas, and someone saw Maruga, now he coming from far. Give him one time. Want to make sure he gets
Of course, and that's what I was, before I hand over to Felicia.
I would like to say how, as well, in terms of these documents, that we are also, what we're doing is, as we count it, we're taking a picture, we're putting it in a pile, before we lock away everything back, whatever's completed is going to be scanned, is going to have a photo record, there's going to be a record of every single page, because I don't take chances with things like that. These people's signatures of, I made a joke where I say, hey, this is our currency, it's like we're making money here, this is our currency. Our currency is in signatures.
And you will pull with money.
Yeah. This is currency, this is our signature, so guess what? Every signature.
I want to make a joke and say Syrian.
Well, it comes from that. Like when we go somewhere, I say, hey, we go for any one person, we see struggling, hey, you sign yet? You sign. Every signature we get in. It's not because we have a number of 100,000, we want anyone to get lost or feel that they are lost in a sea of signatures.
No, every signature is a connection to this.
Correct.
And I know that we're going to build on that. I want people to know that is invest that emotion in that signature, because that's your connection to what happens next.
People are signing.
Your signature is one raindrop in the flood that is going to bring change.
People are proud to sign. Country. That's why people are coming and they are signing. If you see the look in their eyes when they're coming and signing big and they're pressing hard too hard on the paper sometimes. People are coming out with a passion.
Well, this is why
that's what I love about it.
People were messaging, because they say you publish the list. They have a line outside the store to sign a petition.
Yeah.
But people have a story, and that's the thing. Like, we see so many people, and even, yes, we speak to so many, but there's so many people who are there, and it's because they were touched by something, and it is something that's deeply personal. Like, I took a call this week, and before we move on to our resident superwoman, Felicia, and it was a lady who, she just had a big surgery, and she was like, I'm in Chaguanas and I need somewhere closer, because I told her just come here. I didn't know where she was at the time, and I asked her if she could come here, and then she said no, she's in Chaguanas and she can't really move, but she really want to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll actually be in Chaguanas on Friday. And she's like, okay, I want to come. And I couldn't really understand, and then she felt so strongly about it, because I could hear that it's very difficult physically for her. And she said that both her sons were murdered about 5 to 10 years ago, and then I stopped hearing anything, so I thought the call dropped, and I realized she had broken down on the phone, and she's like, when these things happen, everything that happens, exactly.
When you were speaking earlier, the horror of a disappeared child. How do you wake up every day? How do you wake up with that void and not know?
The lady who was there today, Miss Lojine, she actually collapsed when the situation happened with Andrea. And almost all of the people that we've spoken to have shared that every time it happens again, she said it's like scarf, somebody ripping off these scarves. And like, so many people have said it almost verbatim.
Yeah, last week I spoke to one of the victims. Her daughter was missing for 2 years now. Most likely the husband is going to come and speak tomorrow. He couldn't make last week Friday. And I was like, are you able to speak? It's obviously something that's deeply traumatic to so many people, so you have to make sure that they're comfortable. And she said she can't speak about her daughter for more than 2 seconds. Like, her husband could do it, and he has been doing as much as he could do, to assist in any way, especially with things like this. But she said she can't speak about it, and there's no closure.
Some people, there's a pain that doesn't go away.
But it's a pain that doesn't go away. They just sometimes try to live with it, try to ignore it. They don't get over it. They cope with it. They cope with it.
Let me bring Felicia into the conversation. I know she has a lot to update us with where we are, where we're going. You're hearing a lot too.
Yes, firstly, let me say, ladies, great job in Tobago. I see y'all started with a bang with Daniel signing the petition, and I think it's very important to see the entertainers and the artists within Trinidad step forward and put their name on that petition. I personally am going to go after all of the DJs and announcers and any entertainers that I know to get their signatures, because we need them definitely. We need them buy-in. We need all of Trinidad to be realizing and acknowledging the fact that this can't stay the same and that we really need some kind of change. This Friday, we are on our second caravan, I will call it. Last week Friday, we had the launch of the Candlelight Movement and the national petition outside Woodford Square and the whole...
What was the name of the street?
Knox Street.
Knox Street, it was Knox Street.
Corner Knox and Pembroke.
In front of the Hall of Justice.
Infamous area.
Hall of Justice, City Hall. Nice location, it was a good location.
It was actually a very
good
location, come to think about it.
Personally, I mean, I have red, black and blue climbing up and down that truck. But I want to tell you that I was looking down, I was doing something when Inchan was calling for people to light the lighter and turn on their phone. I didn't know what he was doing. And being on top of that truck, and I looked up, and I actually heard my voice on the video saying, wow, look at you all.
Yeah.
Look at yourselves. I couldn't believe it was like, it felt like I was on the top of a Christmas tree.
While she was taking down all of the need, I had tapped her. I said, stop for a minute, just stop for a minute and just look now, right? Just look what, it was just this kind of...
And I climbed up on the chair.
Yeah, and then she climbed up because she couldn't see.
Yeah. Climbed up on the chair and I just looked over the sea of lights, and that was
it was, I couldn't explain the feeling I got seeing that.
Oh, there it is. It's on the video now. It was the most incredible, amazing thing ever.
That was a literal
Can't explain it.
Never had a literal wow moment. That was a wow.
It was a wow. And Phillip said, to talk about what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow we're continuing that, but we're doing it in Central now. And we did say at the start of this Candlelight Movement that we want to take our movements to each corner of Trinidad and Tobago. Today we went to Tobago, and tomorrow we will be in Barker Grounds in Central for the same petition.
In the grounds, not outside.
In the grounds, not outside. And Shan gave us his word that he's not going to put us out.
Terrific.
Close the gates.
They're going to close the gates on us. So it's open for everybody to come in. Please come sign the petition. Come
wear your masks and so on. Yeah.
Wear your mask. Social distancing is being enforced.
Please be orderly by my petition table packages.
Please be orderly. We're going to have tables. New merchandise is back for everybody who's been calling and asking when are they getting my size. We have ordered new merchandise. I can't believe we thought that 300 t-shirts was going to be enough. People have literally been calling down my phone and clamoring to get the Candlelight Movement.
And they vexed me. Look, they want the jersey, they want the petition, they want the jersey.
The cover sheet in that package that you send out, Trinidadians need to that cost $10 plus VAT.
Yeah.
So if you send
that
cost $10, that's one cover sheet, because we wanted them to have something that they could keep.
But I want
everything that we do,
frame it up, put it in your store, have it up there, remember you move on.
Exactly. And it's signed by all the members of the Candlelight Movement, and it's signed by Ashanti Riley's mom, and it's signed by, the first person to sign was Daddy Barrett, Randall Barrett. And it's an actual keepsake, so we made sure that we had it, and Trinidad Systems Limited that we got because of Candace and Felicia, and they gave us real good prices, but it's still $10.
Even the printing of the petition forms, which is why we're asking people to, we're sending out petitions now, 10 in a package, photocopy if you have to. We don't have enough. We wouldn't have enough if we didn't do that.
I want them to know that this is not TT Post, you get Monday or whatever. This is, we're paying drivers to come out and deliver it to you.
Yep.
So I want them to know that, but I mean, at the end of the day, Felicia is the person who's handling all of that, but I know she wouldn't come out and say that. They need to know that there is a lot of costs
attached.
There is. We've not passed the hat. We've not asked for a donation for
nothing. We're taking in nothing.
So they took it upon themselves to print some jerseys, sell the jerseys, and out to any profits.
That's fun. It's the way. Look, it's the people. People are funding it in terms of purchasing a jersey. Is them putting a little bit into funding it.
There will always be a couple handful of haters, and you need to make sure that you address anything that they might say.
Mm-hmm.
But this has been the definition of organic. This has been. I mean, Jodie's message in the thread today that she got the 400
Yep.
manila envelopes that you needed, and it seems like it was just
But it's the same night she got 200. She got 200 pens.
Because
I mean,
you asked, right as you asked where we getting more envelopes from, she said envelopes coming this evening.
We had them.
John said you got some more printing.
Okay, I didn't even follow that. And the messages are just coming through. There's so many different things.
Problems get solved so quickly, and somebody said that how you all handled what happened at Woodford Square is nothing short of amazing. I said that's when you have a good team.
Yeah.
It says when you have a good team, you don't need to be barking instructions at nobody. Everybody knows their responsibility, and we get it done.
And I want to comment on that thought. When it happened, my first thought is, well, Phillip and I, we are accustomed to this. We've been thrown out of places before. Actually, we haven't. I'm just.
Okay, that's all.
Did it happen to you when Phillip was always there? Like, was it when he was there? Because I don't feel like it's you.
Don't let them take the conversation down this path.
I listened to that.
No, but I need to say this though. Like, we are accustomed to the rough life, and when that happened, the first thing I thought about was the other 6 members of the Candlelight Movement. I say, oh God, I wonder how they're going to.
You thought we bougie.
I thought they were going to be like, oh my God.
Time to go.
It's when we called Jody. And Jody's like the baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure if Jody would have jumped up in truck.
Jody is amazing.
Nah,
about half hour in, Jody's been up and down from the truck moving, she holding on to the strap, she talking on the bike. I said, but look at Mister. And she down on the ground with Paul.
And doing t-shirts.
Shouting through the noise and people trying to organize their packages. And I said, well,
to the fellas who tried to help Jody off the truck and having trouble, I had to go and grab her and pull her off. If you know you can't take a lady down from a truck, don't try now. Leave it to the men.
Well, listen, let me just say this. So the way that everybody just, I think, snapped into... So Jody wasn't dealing with t-shirts. That was supposed to be me. And Paul wasn't supposed to be dealing with petition. That was supposed to be you and Tatish. And everybody just, I believe, snapped into
place. Everyone into place,
into roles you didn't expect.
Into roles that you didn't even expect.
You just dealt with it as it was coming.
I have to say, I think the best bunch of people came together for this movement. I mean, the people who are...
There was a spirit of invincibility to us that night, I had to say, in terms of the support that we got from people. I think the support we got from people there, because we thought everybody would start to disperse. And people came, and when they heard that, they came off buses. So I we get Paul. They didn't say us, eh? They say, we get Paul the Square.
And
they did not want to move.
Uncles and aunties and grannies stood their ground.
And they didn't want to move.
And it was raining.
In the rain.
Yeah, they would not move.
In the rain and said, we came here to sign and we're not leaving until we sign. And
that picture of the woman signing the petition on another woman's back.
I got a message from that volunteer in particular yesterday. She said, hey, you saw me in the picture. I didn't even realize it was her in the picture, right? I said, she said, well, when I saw that the clipboards that I hand out to finish, she said she didn't even grab a clipboard when she saw people grab it. And she just went in there. Everyone just came.
Just went out.
Thank you to the volunteers. Thank you to the volunteers as well that jumped. Let me tell you something. I don't know half the volunteers' names. I met them maybe an hour before assisting, and when they came, I said, "Hey, do this." So let's just everyone. Everyone just snapped into a gear and just went at it.
And if I could say, to me that night, one of the most heartwarming moments was actually when I was trying to facilitate the petition signing. So it was at the beginning, and there was Rachel. Rachel was there with her little 6-year-old daughter Jordan, and she was like, you know, can she sign? Can my daughter sign? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I had to take a picture because it was so inspiring, because that is literally what, like, they are the future and we are trying to make this whole thing better for them. And I asked the mom, I asked Rachel, I was like, can I take a picture? And I was like, can I post it? And she was like, yeah, we're doing this for them, aren't we? And I was like,
children can sign the petition as well.
And there are people who get it.
You know what? We planned this from the position of a petition to bring change, and it will do that. But it never dawned on us, because it didn't happen. But at least it wasn't brought up in any of the conversations. And we had a lot of conversations, but it never dawned on us the human part of what this petition was going to represent. And I think it's just bringing people, it's bringing communities together.
I think for me, And that is one of these things, is I'm not looking for another project in my life. I'm on project out. God knows. I remember the first time I see me in the Prime Minister's office some years ago. You say every Monday morning have a project. You remember that? It was passing out and I was going in. But when I got there, during the different nights, and then I particularly looked for the families that I felt that came out and they were now telling their story. That's how we hooked up with the Chet Bals and different persons like that, Terry and Terry's family and stuff.
What's going on with Terry?
Tony is coming tomorrow.
Right?
She couldn't make it on Friday.
Good, you know, those fairs and stuff, because again, another very traumatized person. But being there, I was able to, well, it was help a family put up their banner. I remember like if the Friday night, the Chet Bals, they came in very late. And they came in on the other side of the square, they was just trying to find a place to hang the banner because their 2 children was killed in one night. And I remember standing there and saying, God, is all I can do for these people, boy, help them put up their banner. But I mean, it was all I could do in that moment, and I gave it all my care and all my attention to help them hang this banner of their 2 children in the Woodford Square as a memorial. Likewise, when Terry Gomez's sister came and they were lighting the candles, and she told us the night before, the next night she's bringing yellow candles because that's, and to help them light. And I said, you know what, God, this is just my little way of helping these people connect. And that is what Joy, I was like, you know, I think I would have told you that, Phillip. You created this big, massive space for a whole heap of people to come together. It was more than Andrew. There were people coming together to grieve
community
that had never had a chance to grieve their loved ones and have that sense of community.
Those 9 nights, and especially the last 4 or 5,
it got intense.
The amount of stories, I felt like I was taking in so much pain. I went home one night, a friend of mine, Trinidadian, good people who living in the States now, real good people, and I'm in the news feed, and I'm seeing somebody saying condolences to him. So I go to his page, and the last thing on his page is him sharing us and the candlelight vigil. So he's no longer in Trinidad, his family's out of Trinidad, but is so invested in that, and he's feeling that. And he had a death in his family. One of his daughters committed suicide. And I ended up talking to him on the phone. And then I told my son the next day, I said, I am so weary. There is so much pain.
And there was a lady who came, she didn't really go into too much details, but her 2 sons were killed on the same day. When she got the news of the first one, and she was processing it, by the time she's processing it and dealing with it, she gets the news.
That is insane.
Right?
Yeah,
she
that's
gets the
normal.
news that her second son was killed. And
that doesn't happen
what
in
it
a normal
is I didn't know, because we're very good friends, we have something called broken currents, can still tell where you go around and people tell their stories and they get healed, who get killed, who get raped, whatever, right?
That's the next thing I wrote down, a healing.
Right, so we do that, yes. So we go all over the country, we've been on Barbados, Jamaica, all over the place, doing the same. So she's my very good friend, but I always thought that they found the 2 bodies in Carnage. So when Andrew's body was found on Monday, she couldn't sleep because her son's body was found in Heights of Aripo, the second son. And so it brought back everything, right? So she was never able, her sister, somebody went to identify the boy, because she couldn't go, you know what I'm saying? And so while it is also a time of healing, but again, it's a time of just stirring. I mean, maybe sometimes when our emotions are stirred, I'm not a psychologist, I just do a lot of social work. Maybe even people's emotions being stirred, while it is painful, there's also presenting them an opportunity to deal with things that they probably have never dealt with.
You saying I do a lot of social work is an understatement. If I was the president of the republic, you would have gotten the Trinity Cross so long ago. I'm telling you. I do not tell your brother all the time.
He just doing a Trinity Cross.
I talk all the time. I tell Brent all the time. I say, he messaged me a day, out of the blue, about family, and they need a place to put them during the lockdown. They lost their home. I say, what's going on with your sister? I know she had built a place. He said, back to capacity.
Our 2 places are
He said, back to capacity. If the people looking on at this show knew the kind of work that you did, anyway.
Listen, I just spent 24 hours non-stop with Avanel. I honestly have never seen anyone do as much as she's doing literally 100 things. She's on her phone non-stop for every single cause you could think about. I mean,
her organization.
I mean,
is there not a cause?
But it's, I don't know, like she literally from the car ride in Port of Spain to go to the airport, to get to Tobago, to the airport, to every...
Yeah, boy, sex, you know.
How you collect
rescue.
She collects
causes.
She collects causes.
Yeah.
She collects,
wow.
She fills the gap.
You know how many people doing what I'm doing and they're not getting the support. I mean, there's not the program for that. But there's so many people.
Is the program.
Okay, in 2009, when we had the summit, or the drum, whatever you want to call it, right? And I will never forget Mr. Patrick Manning saying something, and I felt so excited. You get this glimmer of hope when a politician says something, because you say, yeah. No, I still have hope. I'm an eternal optimist. I said yes, because he said the third sector is very important, and the third sector can deliver services quicker without all the... I said, good, the government is going to embrace the third sector, which is civil society. And I'm just going to make one more statement because I don't want to become too political. Then 2010, when that regime came in and they had the Ministry of the People, well, listen to me, I had this rose-eye view of what that ministry was going to. It was going to engage the people to bring change and transformation and to be involved and to begin to, like, you know, see how, because we have no mechanism in Trinidad where John Public have a brilliant idea could take it beyond the rum shop. There is nothing that you can do, you know. There's no tank top, there's no drop box that's collected.
A brilliant idea. You could take it to people who will steal your idea.
Yes. Well, I came up with a project which I was sharing with her in 2010. It is in the public domain. When the People's National Movement would have lost the election in 2010, I will never forget Mr. Cummingwood. He came and he said he was so shocked. You know, he was surprised that they lost because they were gaining ground. And I said to myself, how could you have been shocked when the people were already expressing such displeasure? It says to me that there was a disconnect. And so I came up with a concept called the groundswell. Right? Because they misread the groundswell. I said, what if we can engage our politicians, regardless of whoever is in power, to go around to different constituencies once a month. And I would have packaged it, done a mock program.
That's the MP job.
Exactly right. But
that's their job.
Exactly right. But to help them in a process of setting up these meetings for them with technocrats and engaging the people in the community. Right? I know what way we're helping them.
You're doing their work.
And came up with a cause to help politicians do the actual, members of parliament do the actual job.
It's going to go outside. It was shelved. It was never really taken, and he went up, bumps up the man and the next he pretended he didn't get my
Phillip, this unpolitical woman, this unpolitical
that's
woman,
governance,
born in a political house, her mother was a minister, she member of parliament.
Yes.
For
the Gumatton, only non-PNM member of parliament in the Gumatton.
I remember.
She was before out.
Do you remember in 20?
She didn't go back to fight. Patrick Wampasad went up, and then Dr. came and
she's alive?
No, she died, unfortunately. She died young.
I remember in 2010. This was funny because I was very young at the point in time, not anymore. That I remember telling you this when I heard there was a Ministry of the People. I said, does that imply that all the other ministries aren't for the people? Because it's an issue of the people. The job, people at ministry has to serve the people.
There was this guy who used to talk a lot on Facebook, Roger Valley. Remember him?
He still does, but in a way.
He said, why not the Ministry of Silly Walks? It really didn't sound like it was too obvious a statement to say. It was like you were overcompensating,
because
you were overreaching.
Everyone's job is to serve. Every ministry job is to serve people.
That's it.
Every ministry
job
is to serve
people. And that has to be it. And you all keep touching on the point that it shouldn't be like this. This country shouldn't be like this. This country is too blessed to be like this. We have too much pain. Avenel, we need a healing.
We do.
This country needs a healing.
But don't you think this is the healing in a way?
I think this is us saying we need a healing.
We have to before we get healed, we have to make sure that we curb the income of pain, right? Curb how much pain is actually coming in by getting these measures passed. So at least there's some safety and path to these measures, because we're going to talk about a healing, but it's going to add more bodies to the list and more people to the list.
You know, they taught us racism. They taught us tribalism. They taught us hate. They taught us separate. They taught us how to fight each other, how to ignore the message and attack the messenger. They taught us that only this party care about you and everybody else don't like you. And they taught us to hate.
You know, I have to make an exit because I've been away from my little people since yesterday.
Absolutely.
But you know, last night I was thinking how the human mind works. So I am brutally honest. I was in a house with about 9 people, and I was the only non-East Indian person. And I was thinking how some people would feel in a space like that. And I laughed to myself because I said, you are in a house with humans. The only difference is that they have a different texture here. When you really sit down and think how people have chained us up, so to speak, and we've taken the chain up, it is really so stupid. We are in this same space together.
That's why we need a healing. We need to unclench our fists. So, and that's why, and last night I had to say the same thing on breaking barriers. Some people not accepting because I guess, I don't know if it's jealousy, we've done so much so fast, we got so much support that there's been a little pushback from a certain corner and it's been ferocious. They've been vile.
But Phillip, if we
but I just want to say this, they've been vile. And somebody mentioned it as a caller last night, and I had to tell the caller, I said, we have to unclench our fists. So we can't push back. I have this guy, he's a political operative, and he is sending me the worst messages, and I tell him, you're going to hurt yourself.
Just send back hearts.
No, but I say you're going to hurt yourself. You have children. You have children. Even if they're not seeing, they're feeling that energy.
I think a lot of people honestly don't know how to be anything else but combative. I've realized that. Even when they build a relationship, they're like, wait, we're being friends? I don't have anything to fight for? Nah. Because they've been so cultured, and we need to be reprogrammed as a society. We are not each other's enemies.
You know we need? After we deliver that petition, we need to call 500,000 people in the savannah. And we need to sing together, and we need to share.
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
I was thinking exactly that.
Kumbaya. Felicia had a very good friend a long time ago who used to preach Kumbaya as the solution. And I had to acknowledge he was onto something. We need to get there. We need to get to a place where, and I don't want to sound too preachy, but we need to get to a place where we could love each other again. You said it earlier, and I honestly, I think the 9 nights for me was transformative. I think that I've lost the drive to want office or to be political. And all I want now is to be in whatever way I could serve to facilitate us getting to that change.
Yeah, and I believe, and that's why I think even in this we have, and I hope I'm not jumping once, but this is what also burning my heart. We need to begin to build bridges and see the people, even the politicians, they are not our enemies because we are all citizens, and that is a whole reprogramming. Dr. Rowley is not my enemy. Mrs. Kamala Prasad, Pisesa, anyone, they are not my enemies. I can speak for myself. They are my fellow citizens and flawed human beings we are all, and I am just really praying and believing God for just a whole different mindset, because we are on this ship, if you want to call it that, and we have to be, the sea is so perilous. We have to, pull up anchor or drop anchor. We need to decide what needs to be done, what needs to be realigned and stuff collectively. Where we are at as a nation, we need to bring all our collective strengths together. It ain't no time to be pulling and nitpicking and remembering.
Right. The negatives, out of the negative comes fear, comes greed, comes hate, comes violence. Out of the negative. So we have to over positive that.
Yes, and we can say to people, listen, I can be passionately against your ideology. Right? So I don't know I will automatically embrace the ideologies of particular politicians. But as human beings, I could really be in a room with them and not pretend. And just genuinely love them. I think that's what I can't stand your position. I can't stand your politics. I find it stripping. I find it dotish. It hasn't worked. It ain't working. Let's rethink some things. But as a human being, I should not have any. It shouldn't become personal that I hate you. I wish you the best. A man sick in the hospital. Let's just take when Dr. Rowley got sick. I mean, come on. regardless of how you might feel about a man or whatever it is. You can't just find some humanness in that moment. I felt nothing good to say, just shut up. And you know, so as a society...
Is this more of the Andrea effect? We wanting just better to come out of
I will say
we've been wanting better for a while, but I think we all, the occasion has presented itself where that better can be expressed. You know, and it's been happening in pockets all over the society, and you start to realize, as all of us would have spoken to the tipping point. And it's just like it just pressed everything together, and you can see it. Like there was like all these spots all together. But it's like when you have dust in your house, and then it's a bad analogy. You have dust all over your floor. You never realize how dusty your floor is, but when you take a broom and you sweep it up.
How you get all that? Where that come from?
But the dust was there all the time. So we're bringing the dust together, the dust that wants to see change and transform.
You said that you've been away from your babies for too long. We're going to wrap this up now. We're going Baraka Grounds tomorrow night. So I'm going to give each of you closing comments from your perspective. But so we started, you, Candice, Abner, and Paul, Felicia.
Right.
Did you give me your closing comments? She hardly talked.
Start with please.
She tired. You know, she's too much.
Yeah. And we're going to be doing more with that soon. But yeah, okay, we can reverse it. Felicia, give us closing comments, and please, everybody, remember to remind people or of their responsibilities, including coming tomorrow or signing or bringing back or all the things that we say.
Okay, so in closing, I just want to thank Trinidad and Tobago, Trinbagonians, for taking a stand and for being so very actively involved in this national petition that we have put forward. Like Paul said, we have hundreds of packages that have gone out, and we're still getting hundreds more. So the fact that people are so excited for something that years ago you probably would have never even heard them being interested in before, it says a lot about where we are at as a nation. And I want to encourage and thank all Trinbagonians. Tomorrow, she was supposed to come last week, unfortunately, because of everything with City Hall and Woodford Square. I was not able to send the car for her, but tomorrow Pauline Barrett is supposed to be joining us, which is Sean Luke's mommy. I've been speaking to her, and I'm finally going to get her down there to sign the petition. She very much wants to come and be a part of that. So it's a very hard time for her, and she was not even thinking to come out into the public, but she said, I want to be involved. My country has failed my son, and I would like to put my signature, my name on that national petition. So, in addition to Pauline, I want to invite all of Trinidad and Tobago, of course, to come out tomorrow. Like Paul said, you can sign the petition, you can retain your petition, you can get your new merchandise there. We have some new pink shirts. The Candlelight Movement shirt that Abnell is wearing. We had it in white and black.
We do pins as well,
We're now getting them in pink, a dry fit pink. So come get your merchandise, and of course come feel the whole vibe that all of us have been sharing since the 4th of February, which is that oneness, that unity that you get to feel when Trinbagonians put down all the bacchanal and the who don't like who, and finally just stand together on an issue like we've been standing together on this issue of safeguarding our women. So see you all tomorrow, 7 p.m. Baraka Grounds.
Well said. And when I was scrolling through the pictures that Abinel and Candice were sending, seeing Andrea's dad in Tobago standing there watching people sign, I mean, there's a reality that hits you. This man's life was never about this a month ago. A month ago, he didn't ever think. And people need to realize how violent this nation is right now. And death stalks us.
Yep.
And you don't know what could be your story. So stand together and you take it back.
Well, coming off of that, we're going to have a discussion on the other side of that that's not as pleasant, which is, I'll put it this way, in terms of our police officers, in terms of the gang element that we're dealing with now. I'll say something that I saw someone had quoted recently that God gave his archangels weapons because you don't fight evil with peace and reasoning and understanding. So that is a whole other conversation to have on the end of those who are really out there stalking us.
I want to add something to that, bro, because I got it back today, and every time I get it, I share it because it resonates with what we are saying and doing. Sorry about that. Turn on the volume. I apologize. And it's just this statement. If violent crime is to be curbed, it is only the intended victim who can do it. The felon does not fear the police, and he fears neither judge nor jury. Therefore, what he must be taught to fear is his victim.
That is a good quote, and that is a discussion for another type of show.
We want
but
pepper spray,
and fire
tasers,
and I am a very big advocate of giving somebody tools and the training necessary to defend yourself. And trust me, if you look at the statistics, if you look at what happens in countries where people are given those tools to defend themselves, trained properly and regulated properly, that it becomes a state where the criminals are put in fear. It's long overdue that criminals in TNT are the ones in fear, not law-abiding citizens, not the innocent intended victims. Other than that, all I like to say is that please, whoever has packages to bring it back tomorrow, because we're going to have our first big count. On Saturday, we're going to have our first big count. So bring it back. If you have a neighbor, someone want to collect, I know somebody messaged me that they wanted a package. By the time I looked at message them, carpool it if you want. They got in touch with.
Put in the same envelope, write your name.
Write and bring it. And they got in touch with Satish before. They got in touch with me with the online form. They messaged me. They have some old people on their street that physically can't get out of bed. They want forms because they're gonna go on their street and bring it physically to them. So any little one signature you have sheets completed, bring it back. You have them complete as much as you think you can complete them, bring them back. If you get more signatures after, we take it back after. It's not locking up after collection tomorrow. Everything is happening in real time. Bring back your packages. Who want packages, come down.
We're going to continue. Bring back what you have signed.
Bring back what you have signed or whatever else you have. Photocopy. Continue.
We want to get 500,000 signatures.
Continue. Well, on Saturday we'll have a total tally, but I'll tell you this. After the first day, I was not worried about gathering 100,000 signatures. I went full into mode of how do we regulate this, because we're getting more than we bargained for with these signatures. That's why I just say thank you very much, and ladies, all the lazy team, Phillip as well, but all the lazy team especially, they're the stars here. They really have been driving this forward.
Indeed.
Well, I just want to again encourage everyone to come out, and we also are very mindful of the fact that everybody cannot physically be there or at any of the events for a number of different reasons. But look out for where the forms are. Listen, you never know what can happen. On Saturday, we hosted a migrant person at one of our events, and by Tuesday, she was fighting off some men for her very life and had to jump out a moving vehicle. That is how uncertain. We don't want, right? We don't want to be this pessimistic person trying to put fear in people, but it is a reality. And so we need your voice to say enough is enough. So if you cannot be at the event, listen out to where there is a location out there, or you take the responsibility to get a package or get somebody to get it for you and get as many signatures so that we can send a strong message to those that we have elected to serve. And these are just some of our concerns. They are not all of our concerns. We are also mindful. We're now seeing another surge of young men being killed, and their lives also matter. So, but
as Enchan said last night, and Stefan agreed, this is not the end. This is the start. We're focused on one thing now. We will move that laser focus onto another thing after, but we want a win. We need a win for the women of this country. We need this.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think if there's one thing that we've seen in the last week, it is a phenomenal response to the petition after the launch on Friday. I don't think any of us could have properly prepared ourselves for the kind of positive response and the enthusiasm and the amount of people that just want to put their signature on that petition because they feel like they want to be part of anything that could make this country a better, safer place for our women and our citizens. So I want to just say thank you so much for all the support. It has been somewhat overwhelming in terms of, I know a lot of people were asking for lists and asking every one of us. We were getting hundreds of messages, where could I sign the petition? I'm in this area, da, da, da. And we don't always respond immediately because we're doing so much behind the scenes. And now we have this list that we are updating, and that, I know people are still messaging to be petition agents basically. And we are treating with every request as much as we can. But the response is amazing and so positive and so encouraging, because when you're doing something like this, that it really takes a lot out of you, and it took a lot out of us. But I think we are running on the energy and the positivity that we have. If not, I feel like we would have all collapsed.
Yeah.
But everybody's just. And I mean, there will always be a little bit of negativity, and I don't have the energy for that, and I don't have the time for that. So, I mean, I will address legitimate concerns, because I know there are people with legitimate concerns, but as Philip used the word haters, which is not a word I like to use too much, but the few people who tearing it down and who prefer to complain and criticize rather than try to do something to make our country better, there will always be people like that. But the positivity really is far out measuring any bit of negativity. One thing I want to clear up is that everyone needs to sign themselves. Please do not put anyone else's signature. Please do not sign for your family who's abroad. You have to put just one signature, which is your own. If you need to take it to somebody who cannot physically attend somewhere to sign, you can do that, but do not sign for anyone. That's something I need to clarify, because we will have to invalidate those signatures, and that is a tedious process, because we are doing every single thing we can to ensure the validity of what we're doing. My small personal project, which is my alarm distribution, I've been doing distributing personal alarms, panic alarms, to as many people as I can, especially the traveling women of our country. They are $50, which is the cost price at no profit. I took some to Tobago, all got sold out. I wish I had taken more. And I know a lot of people have been messaging me, and I'm so sorry, because I was out of stock for a while, and I have again, and I'm going to take some to Shogunas, so that if anybody wants, they can meet me tomorrow when they sign the petition, and they can get their alarms. And thank you so much. See you guys tomorrow. Come out and sign.
Well, I don't think there's anything else that I could add, other than to say, I didn't think this would get here. It got here because of people that came to our vigil, to our week, and decided, I need this to be more. I need to make this into something more. None of us could take credit. It's not something that we're owning. I said to someone today, our job is to distribute the packages and to clean up after. We're facilitators of a growing mass of people. Every single human being that signs a signature on one of those petition sheets instantly becomes a part of this growing family of people fighting for a better Trinidad and Tobago. But I have a small family around me that I don't know how to tell them how proud I am of them, how grateful I am for them being here. Felicia, Candice, Abanel, Paul, Inchan, Stefan, Ian when he thinks to make a call, Jody, Joseph, Satish, Sean. We have a crew of people. If I Alexia, Precious. If I leave out anyone's names, not for trying, it's Sandra. It's so many good people. All of the drivers, Terrence, again, brother, my heart breaking for you. And when you find the time, let's talk it out. Tomorrow Tomorrow we send a message. By our presence we send a message. By our gathering we send a message. Let us keep sending a constant message. This is not about politics anymore, but it is about the politics of getting our people safer, and we're starting with our women. Because what is going on in this country, I saw this morning that there was a story, I don't know if it was true or not, that another nude woman's body was found. Did it turn out to be true? On a beach in Trinidad.
We didn't get confirmation.
We didn't get confirmation yet.
But there was an attempted the day before. I mean, every day is every day.
It's insane that people could still be contemplating these things. I want to give a big shout out again to the men and women of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service who was so helpful with us last week Friday at Woodford Square, and even to the city police officers who were
doing their job,
expressing solidarity, even if they had to
do their job.
But it all worked out for the best in the end, and I think that is the common thread here. Everything seems to be trying to work out for the best. My heart breaks every single day for Randolph Barrett and Candice Riley and all of the other loved ones left to mourn. Every story we hear is unacceptable that we let it get to here. It's unacceptable, and what we need to do is to let it stop now. It cannot continue. When they say enough is enough, it is not a cliche. Enough with the killing, enough with the violence now. We need to stand together as a people. This is a way forward. It's a way for us to come together as a people and say, enough. Tomorrow night, Baraka Grounds, we'll be from 7 p.m. Looking forward to seeing all of you. On behalf of Satish and Crispin and the rest of the Plain Talk crew, good night.
The national petition will be heading to Chaguanas this Friday, 12th March at Baraka Grounds from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Come sign the national petition and let's make our country safe for our women. Bring the entire family and be part of the change that we're fighting for. Remember, this Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Baraka Grounds in Chaguanas. Social distance protocols will be in full effect, so remember to wear your mask and see you there.